My first real experience in theater was 7th grade, but the bug hit in high school. I had always felt a little different. I didn't fit in with other groups that were there. I just never felt that I fit in until then. Nobody cared that you were different. Doesn't matter. From there, I was just hooked. I first started at Port Tobacco Theater. My first show here was Cyrano, which was probably 2012-ish. I wanted to be more involved. I worked backstage a bit, worked on stage a bit, and I just wanted to get involved with helping the theater to move forward.
When I was 2 years old, my mom said I was probably the most dramatic thing she'd ever seen. By the time I was 13, I started community theater, and that was it. I knew from 13 years old, I would be on the stage for the rest of my life. There's something about the live audience, and it's exciting. So I was like, no, I want to do live theater. And I moved to Maryland to get a degree in theater performance, and I did. I was looking for a stage to have my children perform on, and here's the black box.
In the beginning, we had absolutely no idea the scope was going to be this massive. Personally, I wasn't prepared for a pandemic, and I worked for 30 years in readiness planning. Nobody was prepared. We figured, a few months. We shut down. We were in the middle of a production at the time, and that production got one weekend before we had to shut the doors.
We were hoping we would only be closed for 6 months. That just really wasn't the case. So then we started thinking, no, we're going to have to be shut down. Who knows? Maybe a year, maybe 2 years. And then what do? So we thought, okay, we can't do plays. How do we encourage performances and performers? And how do we shift to maybe online? But we're technologically challenged at our theater. We didn't have all the equipment. We didn't have the manpower, the know-how to do all of those things. So really, it came down to, we're gonna have to be a think tank while we're shut down.
Well, we've been doing everything from staged readings to a new musical production that will be done via Zoom as well. Radio plays are a thing that are starting to take hold. There are obviously some limitations. You're not going to get full-blown productions with sets, costuming, etc. It's not the same, but it's something.
We have thrived off of people wanting to use our space and bringing their audience. And the key is when they bring their audience, we have an up-and-coming event, or we let them know that they can use the space, and that's how we keep our growth and we keep our momentum. Well, when you cut that off and people can't rent and people can't come out and use the space, there goes our following. But when the bottom line is this is a theater for the arts and we can't have the arts, that's hard. It's hard for us. It's a hard hit.
It wasn't until the pandemic where it was, oh boy, we really need to do something. And even though we're not getting people in, we still have to keep the lights on. We had to start looking at the long haul.
You have to pay royalty for plays, for large plays or things that people want to see. People assume that you can just get a grant, that people are just going to pay or give you money, and that's just not the case. So coming up with that is always a challenge. It's a small theater. Small theaters don't just get grants.
One of the additional problems is you're on a stage around other people projecting.
So much of performance, you have to see a face. It's about facial expression, so masking is an issue. Safety, of course, is an issue. So we have to balance that.
Just something as simple as an intermission where you don't want people crowding into a restroom or around a concession stand. It has to be thought of. So there's a lot to consider.
We had to transition. We got so lucky. It was not a coincidence that a church needed a building. And that church, they were prepared to do live streaming. And it was just before the pandemic. The income and the donations that they provide is the same as if we were to have a performance each week.
Every time I walk in here, I remember the first time I saw this stage. stage, not as an audience member. And then the first time I went backstage here, when I was cast in my first show here, and it's just nice.
Theater means energy. You breathe the energy as a performer, feel the energy as an audience member when you're watching someone on the stage. It's fantasy and reality at the same time. Seeing theater is seeing a person there. It's always going to be unique. Theater is life. It's wonderful.
I think it's extremely important. It's an integral part, I think, of what should be in society. It helps round the community out, I think. It makes me happy to be here. When this house is full, when there's a show going, I mean, it's just a place where people come to enjoy themselves, and that would be lost, as well as just the 70 plus years of history of this building and of doing theater in this building would be lost. It would be monumental, and something that even now just makes my stomach turn a little.
I hate to imagine it closing, but I don't know where people are gonna go. There are very few art centers in our entire county, let alone this one little tiny city. The city itself, Indian Head, has really struggled over the last decade to move forward, to keep its doors open, to keep buildings open, to keep businesses open. It's so hard to be so uncertain. We now know we don't know the future from 1 to 2 to 3 months from now. You find the way to rebuild. See what we're doing. Ask us how to get involved. Donate your time, donate financially, or donate creatively.
Join, become a member. Come when we open up.
The building is the building, but don't give up on the arts.